The cemetery was old, older than anyone living in the town. It sat atop a hill just beyond the church, where fog liked to settle and linger. Rows upon rows of weathered stones stood like tired sentinels, names eroded by time, stories swallowed by silence. But every day, at exactly 6:47 a.m., he came. No one knew his name. No one ever asked. They called him the Watcher, a tall, lean man in a charcoal coat that brushed the tops of his worn leather boots. Always the same steps, down the gravel path, past the angel statue with the missing wing, across the far left row, around the willow tree, and finally to a small, nameless stone near the back fence. He never touched the stone. He never left flowers. He only stood. For exactly 10 minutes. Then he left. Children whispered stories about him. Some said he was a ghost. Others swore they saw him disappear into the mist. But grown-ups never paid him much mind. Life was too busy. Death too distant. The cemetery was a place for yesterday, not today. Except for Olivia. Olivia was 16, all fire and questions. Her father was the groundskeeper, and she had grown up among the mossy stones and quiet mornings. She had seen the Watcher every day since she was 7. He fascinated her. She once tried to follow him, quiet as breath, stepping where he stepped. But he vanished, right at the tree line behind the fence, no car, no sound. She asked her father once who he was. Her father only said, "He's got grief older than this place." Olivia didn't understand then, but now she wanted to. So she watched. She began journaling his visits, arrival times, route, posture, even the way his fingers twitched when the wind picked up. She noticed he never looked at any other grave, not even once. She started researching the unnamed grave. Town records, church files, everything came up blank. No name, no burial date, no family link, a plot without history, a man without a past. Then, one Tuesday in November, he didn't come. For the first time in nearly 10 years. Olivia felt it like a stone in her chest. She waited. She paced. But the bench by the fence stayed empty. The next day, still no sign. She thought about knocking on the pastor's door, asking if anyone knew anything, but something told her not to. Instead, she returned to the grave and left a single white carnation, and beneath it, a note. "I see you. I don't know your pain, but I want to understand it. Come back." That night she dreamed of war, bombs, screams, mud, the flash of a bayonet, and eyes, cold, unreadable eyes staring through her. She woke, gasping. The next morning she ran to the cemetery. He was there, but he wasn't standing. He was on his knees, one hand pressed to the stone, shoulders trembling. Olivia froze. The man looked broken, shattered into pieces too sharp to hold. She wanted to walk away, give him space, but her feet didn't move. She stepped forward. He didn't stop her. She knelt beside him. For minutes, neither spoke. Finally, he whispered, "I saw your note." His voice was sandpaper and sorrow. Olivia nodded, afraid her voice would break. "I was gone because yesterday was the day." "The day?" she asked gently. He reached into his coat and pulled out an old folded paper. It looked like a letter. He opened it with hands that trembled. It was dated November 13th, 1952. "Dear Elijah," it began. "I didn't know her name then," he said. "I only knew what she looked like in the photograph. A child, big eyes, holding a toy plane." He pointed to the grave. "She's here." Olivia's heart dropped. "Your daughter?" He shook his head. "My sister." He closed the letter. "She was taken during the war. Vanished. We thought she'd been lost forever. But this was the only place they ever linked her to. So I came, and I kept coming." "But why no name?" Olivia asked. "No body was ever recovered, only the letter, and a small box of belongings. They buried what they could. But the government never confirmed anything. She doesn't exist on any record. But she existed to you. She was everything." They sat in silence. The wind moved through the grass like a hymn. And then he began to hum, a tune Olivia didn't recognize, slow, mournful, foreign. She closed her eyes and let it sink in. When she opened them, he was gone. Only the letter remained, and beneath it, etched into the stone, barely visible before, was a name: Annalisa. The next morning, Olivia returned to the cemetery. The mist was heavier than usual, wrapping the gravestones in soft veils, but she didn't need to see clearly. She walked the path by memory, past the angel statue, through the willow's quiet curtain, into the nameless grave that wasn't nameless anymore. Annalise. The name shimmered faintly in the stone, as if it had been there all along, just waiting for someone to notice. The letter he had left behind sat inside her backpack. She'd read it twice already that morning and cried both times. She wasn't sure if he'd return, but then she heard it again, the hum, low, mournful, familiar. She turned, and there he was. Same coat, same eyes, but something in his posture had changed. He looked lighter, not happy, but less haunted. "Morning," he said, voice hoarse. "Morning," she replied, rising from the bench. "I didn't expect you back." "I did." They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the wind move through the willow branches. "I suppose I owe you the rest of the story," he said. Olivia didn't speak. She simply waited. "I was 16 when they took her," he began. "She was 10. Our mother had died 2 years earlier. Our father was a mechanic. We lived in a city that doesn't exist anymore, flattened by bombs." He paused. Annalise was curious, always asking questions, always humming. That same tune you heard. It was the lullaby my mother used to sing to her. He glanced at the stone. "One day the soldiers came, not to our house, not to arrest us, but to recruit. I wasn't old enough, but I looked older. I lied about my age. They needed bodies." He clenched his fists. "When I came back, the city was gone, burned, everyone scattered. I spent the next 20 years looking, tracing rumors, tracking names, chasing shadows." "And the letter?" "It came in 52. No return address, no signature. Just a government envelope with a single page and a matchbox-sized tin. Inside was a silver button and a charm bracelet that had once belonged to her. It was all they had. They said they found it in a refugee camp, said she died of illness. No records, just a name spoken by another girl." He took a breath. "But they never buried her. Or so they said. But someone did. Someone brought the charm. Someone carved that stone. Someone remembered her." "And now you do too," Olivia said softly. He smiled faintly. "I was so afraid she'd be forgotten, that I'd be the last echo of her name. She's not forgotten anymore." Over the next few weeks they met almost daily, not always speaking, sometimes just sitting, sometimes humming. Olivia played the lullaby on her violin one morning. The man cried. Not ashamed, not embarrassed, just honest. He told her more, about the war, about the other children lost, about the men who became ghosts to avoid becoming monsters. "You have to understand," he said once, "we didn't just lose our homes. We lost our names, our languages, our families, everything that told us who we were. And yet you remembered her. She was the only thing I couldn't forget." Spring came. The grave bloomed. Someone, a stranger, had planted bluebells beside it. Olivia asked around, but no one knew who had done it. The town had started to notice the grave. Small bouquets appeared, candles, notes. Annalise had begun to matter, and then one morning, he didn't come. Olivia waited until noon. She checked the trail. Nothing. Worried, she walked to the pastor's home, but the pastor said he hadn't seen him. No one had. No one knew where he lived. No one even knew his full name. He had come and gone like a season. A week passed, then another. She still came, still played, still sat. And then one morning, there was a box at the grave, small, wooden, tied with a red ribbon. Inside was the charm bracelet and a note. "I've said all I needed to say. Now she's remembered, and I can rest. E." There was no last name, no address, just E. Olivia smiled through her tears. She placed the bracelet on the stone and whispered, "I'll keep remembering." Years later, Olivia published a book. It was called The Girl with No Grave. It told the story of Annalisa as best she could, of the man who remembered, of the lullaby, of the silence, and how sometimes remembering someone is the most heroic thing of all. At the back of the book was a scanned image of the stone, now fully restored and engraved, Anneliese K., 1932, 1945. She was the light someone kept lit. The cemetery still stood. The bench was still there. And if you go early enough, you might hear the sound of a violin playing just before the sunrise, a soft tune, old and full of memory.